how many disk drives does your system have? The server I use in my house has three disks in it. And when I'm talking about disks, I'm talking about, they can be NVMe disks, they can be hard disks, they can be, solid state drives, any of that kind of stuff. If we're talking about an enterprise, those servers can have dozens of drives. Now, this brings up two questions. If I need more drives in my VM, where do I get them from and how do I attach them? And then after that, after I attach them, how do I remove them? Well, this is easy. You just need the right tools. This is B from Detaching, and I'm going to break this topic into two videos. In this first video, I will be showing you how to add an existing drive to a virtual machine, as well as creating a new drive and adding it to a virtual machine. In the next video, I will be covering how to add a physical disk from your host system to a virtual machine. Now, I've got a favor to ask. If you like this type of video and want to see more content like this, make sure you are subscribed and hit the bell button for notifications. Also, don't forget to give the video a like if you like it, give it a dislike if you don't like it. And lastly, let me know what you liked, didn't like, or if you have any comments, questions, or concerns down in the comments below. So let's go ahead and do this thing. Now, if you're new to this, you may be wondering, why do you need more than one drive in a virtual machine? Well, at least for myself, two use cases come to mind. Now, you're using a network attached storage, for your home, right? Network attached storage is just a big pile of storage you have on a separate system that's connected to the host machine that you're using. Well, if you're using a network attached storage, you would want to, personally, I would want to run the OS on one single drive and then have two redundant drives attached to that as well for the actual data storage. And that makes 3 total drives for the scenario. So we'd have to add 2 if we're talking about a virtual machine. And then maybe you switch between virtual machines a lot, multiple projects, and there are certain files that you need for all of them, but you don't want to set up a NAS. You could have one drive that you just manually attach to each virtual machine as you're using it. A little cumbersome and, in my own personal opinion, but to each their own. So now that we've kind of talked about some of the use cases, let's go ahead and jump into an actual desktop so we can go ahead and go through this. So let me go ahead and switch here. All right, so the first command I want to go ahead and go over with you is going to be sudo virsh dom block list, and then we're going to do Ubuntu server. Now make sure you run this command as either root or as sudo. Now, you've probably seen this come up in other videos, but I'm going to keep bringing up a lot of the same commands and introducing them, so just be ready for that in future videos. Now, this command right here is going to allow us to see the list of drives that are attached to our virtual machine. So let's go ahead and do that, and it's going to give us 2 pieces of information. It's going to give us the target, which is the actual file location of the drive on our virtual machine, and it's also going to tell us where it's located on our host machine, which is this one right here. This one right here is the target on the virtual machine. So on the virtual machine, this is going to be like this. It's going to be forward dev, and then it would be VDA is what it would be on our actual virtual machine. So this is super helpful. If you're just like, well, how many drives do I have attached and where are they located at again? It'll help answer those types of questions. So let's go ahead and jump into actually adding an existing drive. So let's go ahead and we're going to do a ls. We're going to do var libvirt images, and then we're going to go ahead and hit enter. And the one that we're going to be using for our existing example is going to be this one right here. Right? It's supposed to say test, but I typed it wrong and said text. So we're going to pretend that says test and move on with our lives. All right, now just remember the var libvirt images directory. That's actually where KVM will store all of your disk images by default if you don't specify another type of directory or, at the time of install. So just keep that in mind. So we've actually already got a VM that we're going to be using. It's actually already running. It's going to be the one that I just typed in the command for, which is Ubuntu server. So let's go ahead and go back over here. Now let's go ahead and put in the command. It's going to be sudo virt. We're going to do XML. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do tac add device, because we want to go ahead and add a device to this virtual machine. Now, virtu-xml, you probably saw me use this command in the last video. What it's going to do is it's going to allow you to just make updates to the XML configuration file without actually having to go in there and manually edit yourself. It'll put everything in there nice and pretty, all that good stuff. If that's something you want to know a little bit more about in the future, please let me know down in the comments below, and make sure you're subscribed for that potential content. All right, so we're going to use that. We have add device, and then we're going to do is tac update. Now, what tac update is going to do is it's going to allow us to hot plug this drive to our virtual machine because I already have it running. Now, if the machine is not running, then just go ahead and don't put the update option, because then you don't really need to worry about that because the virtual machine is not on. And then the last option we're going to put is tac disk. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow us to set the location of the drive that we want to go ahead and add. And we're going to do txt right there. All right, cool. So we've got our whole command there, and we saw this before, so let's go ahead and hit enter. All right, and I forgot this command. Again, I always forget to add the domain in there, so let's go ahead and go in there and make sure you put virtu-xml and then the target. And give it just a second, and perfect. Now it's got the hot plug was successful, so let's go ahead and rerun our, whoops, not that one. There we go. Now we can see that's both there. Now you may be wondering, well, is it actually on the virtual machine? Let's take a look. And you can always use the lsblk command to go ahead and show all disks that are, so all block devices that are connected to a Linux machine. All right, and here we go. And this disk is only 1 gigabyte, so that's a really tiny one. I just didn't want to be eating up a bunch of space for this test drive, so it is actually right there. It's not currently mounted, but if we did mount it, that would be over here, just like on these other ones. Perfect. All right, cool. Now, the next thing that we want to do is we want to go ahead and create and then add a disk to a volume. I'm sorry, add a disk volume. I think that's how you say that. Yeah, that's definitely how you say that. Okay, so we're going to use the same command. Well, we're not going to use the exact same command. We're going to use a very similar version of that command. So what we want to do here is we want to go ahead and, of course, we want to put in sudo. We're going to do virtu-xml. We're going to put in the target virtual machine. We're going to also add the update because we want to do a hot plug, and then we're going to also add the option tac disk. We're going to be using the same actual location, but we're going to go ahead and change the name of it. We're going to do us1, just do Ubuntu server 1.qcow2. All right, then what we're going to do is we're going to do format, and then we're going to do equals qcow2. For this, you're typically going to be using either qcow or img. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and set the size of that with commas, and then equals, we're going to just do 1. All right, so basically what we're doing here is we're saying, hey Libert, go ahead and create us a device that we're going to add to Ubuntu server. We're going to run it. We're going to add it while it's running. We're going to add this disk at this location. This is where we want the disk located. This is the format that we want it, and this is the size that we want it. Now, when you're putting these commas in here, there's no space after them. So just keep that in mind. You want to make sure that you don't do. You want to make sure that you put it in there appropriately. All right, so perfect. It's going to be this format. It's going to be this size. So let's go ahead and hit enter, and perfect. And let's go ahead and run a sudo dom block list ubuntu. Oops. All right, there we go. We can actually see it there. Now let's go back over to our virtual machine. We're going to run the lsblk command again, and we can see it down there. Pretty cool, right? My mind was kind of blown, not going to lie, the first time that I saw this happening, especially with the hot plug. I was like, wow, it's so cool. So hopefully your mind's blown as well. All right, so let's go ahead and let's move on to detaching these volumes. Now, one of the things also that I did want to point out is when we're giving it that size option, it's going to do it in gigabytes. So, 1 gigabyte, if you put 100, it's going to put you 100 gigabytes. So just be mindful of that. Don't put 10,000 there, because then it's going to give you, it's going to do 10,000 gigabytes. And I don't know about you, but I don't have, that much capacity on the servers that I use. I don't even think in my total storage capacity in my house has that much storage in it. So just be mindful of that. So let's go ahead and go on to removing a disk volume. And I'm actually going to show you 2 options of this. They're super similar. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to start with removing VDC because that was the last one we added, but it's going to be very similar. We're going to do sudo. With this one, it's going to be virtu-xml. And then we're going to put in our target. And then we're going to go ahead and do tac remove. Super different, right? Device. And then we're going to go tac update. And then we're going to go ahead and do tac disk. We're going to do target equals VDC. All right, perfect. All right, so basically what this command did is it went ahead and we're using the same exact virtu-xml command. We're just removing the device. We're telling it to remove the device. We're telling it to do it while it's running, and then we're telling it, hey, look, this is the one I want you to remove. And the target is always going to be that target that I showed you. Let me see if I can scroll back. It's not letting me go all that far back because I did issue that clear command, but oh, actually, I'm sorry. It's like right here. This is your target right here. So again, that's that dev/VDC, which is the actual location of the drive on the virtual machine. Now let's go ahead and go over to the virtual machine. We're gonna go ahead and add our good friend lsblk, and we can see that now it is gone. Cool stuff, right? All right, now let's go ahead and go over here. We're gonna use very, very similar command. The difference this time around is we're gonna go ahead and we're going to remove this location. All right, so then, yeah, we're basically saying, hey, look, Vert, go ahead, Libvirt, go ahead and remove Ubuntu server on Ubuntu server. Go ahead and remove this device while it's running. This disk at this location. Awesome. Yeah, and we can see there it was undefined successfully. Now let's go ahead and rerun our dom blocklist command, and there we go. We can see that it's just got that one right there. And then over here, let's run the same lsblk command, and we can see that all of the drives are gone. And it's just got our default one, which is the VDA width right there. Awesome stuff, right? Well, this is quite a bit of information, but now you're ready to create all the disks your heart desires. Check out the other videos in my Linux virtualization playlist if you have not already. If you have, check out this other video from my channel. Thank you very much for watching my video, and have the greatest of days.